I've noticed something lately during my visits to casinos. Costs are going up, up, up. Have you noticed that too? I don't know why it took me so long. I mean, sure, I've always placed maximum bets. Only lately I've begun to question whether that's a good idea. Now I've noticed how high minimum bets have gotten. What other rising casino costs are happening right under our noses? On my latest casino trips, I've been trying out and testing slot machine evaluation methods as well as working on refinements to my 5-spin test method. Both use minimum bets, so that's when it basically hit me in the face. Minimum bets are increasing. It's something we'll need to keep an eye on in the future because there's a question in my mind about these rising minimum bets. Have they stopped increasing yet? But the rising cost of going to a casino isn't just due to increasing minimum bets. What else costs more? Well, what doesn't cost more lately? Food, parking, valet, resort fees for hotel stays, and what appears to be lower player win percentages, or at least wildly fluctuating returns. First up, then down, then up again like we're on a roller coaster. Sometimes that's our subjective feelings about our casino visits, yet other times it's an objective observation if we use gambling records to track our performance trip by trip to casino after casino. I'd somehow missed seeing that was happening until recently. When I asked my audience of slots enthusiasts about minimum bets increasing, they've informed me that the minimum bets are sometimes as low as 30 cents, but more usually 68 cents or 88 cents. That's a lot. Please take a moment and comment below with the lowest minimum bet you can find at your casino. Why? Well, so we know what others are having to deal with. But it's more than that. This YouTube video will be viewed for years, and as those years go by, we'll be able to watch them rise by browsing the comments. A few audience members have mentioned that their casino still has 1-cent bets on penny machines. One of them goes to a remote casino in the state of Washington, and the other is in New Zealand. Raising the minimum bet at a casino is tough on the many slots enthusiasts who bring a $100 or $200 bankroll to a casino to play slots. These are not small bankrolls, or at least I don't like to call them that because I believe any size bankroll is just fine. But I'm having to adjust my perception as minimum bets keep rising higher. How soon will they be over $1? If you bring more than a $200 bankroll to the casino, your gameplay session has been shortened too. It really doesn't matter how much your bankroll is, large or small, when casinos raise minimum bets. What will they do next? Remove the 1 credit bet option on $5, $10, $25, and $100 denomination slot machines like they have on penny machines? That's where all this is headed. Maybe the minimum bet size will stop rising like college tuition has. Tuition went up for decades but stopped rising a few years ago. Why? Because universities reached the maximum cost a student and their parents could afford. Yes, they finally hit the maximum, but they found another way to effectively double or more how much tuition they were getting. How? They've increased the number of students in classrooms. Instead of a classroom that would hold 30 students, they're rebuilding campus buildings to have lecture halls holding a minimum of 100 or more students instead of 30 students only. Considering this college tuition example, let's consider the business consequences for casinos when raising minimum bets on slot machines. First, it's risky because what if a nearby competitor doesn't raise their minimum bets quite so high? Well, that first casino's patrons will switch to the second casino with its lower minimum bets, with a corresponding loss of revenue at the first casino. This is how competition works. Has this happened yet? As best I can tell, no. Nobody has made a big fuss over rising minimum bets. Nobody has raised the alarm. Maybe this video will? It's certainly happened for other reasons, though. On the river border between Illinois and Indiana, riverboat casinos on the Illinois side set up gaming regulations which required casinos to close for 2 hours in the morning. A few months later, when Indiana was setting up their gaming regs, they allowed riverboat casinos to be open 24 hours a day. Again, this is what competition looks like. Just prior to the pandemic, lots of gambling commentators made a huge fuss over so-called resort fees. These miscellaneous charges got to be larger than the hotel occupancy charge for a room. Universities did something similar by adding many small fees to keep per-credit charges low for advertising purposes, same as casinos are doing, yet still get massive revenue. This raising of fuss for a year really got the attention of a lot of people, and casinos started losing money despite the extra income from these resort fees. All that attention negatively impacted the revenue. Similarly, let's kick up a fuss about the rising costs of minimum bets on slot machines. Seriously, 30-cent minimum bets on penny machines? Why do they even call them penny machines anymore? Like high tuition at universities, they're driving away customers that can no longer afford it. I guess casinos think slots enthusiasts with bankrolls of $200 or less aren't worth their time and attention? If so, that's a huge mistake. To casinos that do this, I hope your competitors don't notice your error. Honestly, it's a simple economic analysis. You have far more customers with bankrolls of $200 or less than you do customers which apparently are now your focus. Don't you know that slots players with bankrolls of $200 or less are your bread and butter patrons? They're the lifeblood of your business, and you're driving them away by raising minimum bets. From a business perspective, this is bad news for your future income. Don't you know that? Besides resort fees and minimum bets, there are other ways the cost of going to a casino is going up. Unfortunately for casinos, it's not something they have any control over. It's food services. While some casinos still have buffets, and I hear those in Black Hawk, Colorado casinos are awesome, most casinos have closed their buffets for health safety reasons. People need to eat, and if you're a big eater, then buffets are the food source for you. I know it is for me. Casino buffets are cheap places to get a meal, especially for foodies or individuals who otherwise love buffets, and those are gone. So now the food options available at casinos for the same piled high plates are not as cheap. How can they be? Comment below with the rising casino costs you are experiencing lately. Does it seem worse at casinos with no nearby competitors to make your casino cautious about overdoing excessive costs? Now, maybe you want to know what are good money management tips for slots enthusiasts. In this playlist right here, I explain 11 practical tips. So if it is important to you to plug bankroll spending leaks, click the playlist you see on your screen right here, and I'll go into detail on how to keep your costs down. So click this playlist, and I'll see you over in the next one.